What is going on? We're back again with another video. In today's video, we're going to be covering every single trade in the trade deadline. As you guys can see on the screen right here, we got pretty much all the trades pulled up starting from July 3rd up until now. Ton of trades happened during this trade deadline. We obviously have the most impactful trades from this whole thing, but like we did last year, we're going to be going through everything off the jump. And the first trade I would say is kind of the kickoff was kind of this trade from the Rays, but there were a couple other trades like we saw the Luis Arias trade. I think it was June or May when that first happened. We saw the Dallas Keuchel trade even before that. So those are two trades I think that kind of matter a lot. I'm gonna mention it right here, the Dallas Keuchel trade, but yeah, I think those were two trades before that were pretty. I'd say the Luis Arias thing was pretty major, but let's kind of start where they think about the whole trade deadline. They kind of started here for this 1-for-1 trade with the Brewers, obviously picking up another right-handed pitcher. He was actually pretty good for the Rays when he was there, as we can look at some of the numbers from a couple of these guys. But this was kind of the first trade. As we kind of scroll through, I recommend you guys pause, when we go through everything, because there definitely is a lot to cover. Yeah, there were a couple other small trades right here across the board. I know Austin Slater one was a pretty decent one, I think, for the Reds as we kind of continue on through right here. As we go, this was another pretty big one, the Phil Maton thing for the Mets. I really thought he was a pretty good solid pitcher for the Rays, and ever since he's been on New York now, it's been at least a month he's been on that team. He's looked really solid for that Mets squad, so that's definitely been fun to watch. Hunter Harvey was another one. The draft pick thing is very interesting too when this initially happened. Remember, this one was an early one. They got the 39th pick in the MLB draft. Pretty much what I understand about trading draft picks, like you can trade the compensation, and I think you can trade the competitive balance picks. There's something like that. Like there's some clause you can trade them. You can't trade like the actual draft picks like round 1, round 2, round 3. But all those like other picks, like the compensation, the prospect promote, and I even think the competitive balance, I think you can trade all those picks. So I wonder if we're going to see more of that. I wonder if they're actually going to let the teams trade their picks ever. Definitely been an interesting conversation for sure, but that was one before the MLB draft that happened that was definitely talked about. As we continue on with some more picks, cash considerations are always a big thing with these trades as we continue on. Let's say this is like the first start of the main trades for the trade deadline was the AJ Polk move the Diamondbacks got. Polk, once again, I thought he was a pretty solid piece on the Marlins to get rid of. The Arizona obviously wants to make the run, right? But the guys the Marlins got back, these two players are really good in the minor leagues. I definitely know that Los Santos, he's batting 325. He's got like an RBI per game is his average, which is insane. OPS is crazy. Andrew Pintar, once again, I think he's batting like 280 in the minor leagues when I looked at him initially. I think he's in Double-A. I could be wrong about that, but he was pretty good as well. The Marlins got a good bag right here for sure. And that was the thing. The Marlins got a lot of guys. And then we obviously had the next bombshell trade. Randy Arozarena going to Seattle. Big trade for the Rays, obviously got rid of them. They did get a couple good guys back with Aiden Smith and Hopkins. They did mention the player to be named later. I'm pretty sure that they did mention him. Randy Arozarena was definitely on my last video that we talked about of him being traded. Didn't think it would actually happen, but there were talks about it, and then boom, the Rays kind of blew it up. I think this was the first trade. Maybe you see with the relief pitchers as well, but first big trade you can actually see them blowing it up, right? So that was definitely an interesting trade. Mariners definitely get a lot better from that. We'll see if it helps them down the stretch. But as we know right now, they're not in a postseason spot, so definitely going to be interesting for them. Definitely the Rays I think got a lot of good guys on that one. When we saw this one with Paxton going back to the Red Sox from the Dodgers, 1-for-1 trade right there. So another big trade we saw from the Orioles. They picked up Sir Anthony Dominguez, and then Austin Hayes obviously went to the Phillies for one prospect. So this was a pretty big one. Austin Hayes actually been playing pretty solid for the Phillies in those first couple of games he's been on that team. So yeah, definitely looking pretty solid. And Phillies obviously playing left field. Every time I've seen him play with the Phillies, he's looked really good. So definitely good trade for them. Haven't seen much of Dominguez on the Orioles yet because the trade just happened, but that was a pretty decent one. Obviously the Mariners make another trade for another pitcher right here from the Blue Jays. Blue Jays were an interesting team. They didn't really blow it up like I thought they were going to, but they definitely got a lot of good prospects, and they definitely sold all the guys. When I say blow it up, I mean get rid of everyone. Obviously, they didn't do that. They didn't get rid of Vlad. They didn't get rid of Bo Bichette, the guys that a lot of people thought they were going to get rid of, but they ended up didn't. And there was actually a pretty good graphic I saw on Twitter about the guys they got and the guys they got rid of. This is another Rays move right here. The Orioles picked up Zach Hyphen from the Rays, and they obviously gave him a boatload of prospects, 3 prospects for this one. Obviously, the Orioles are going to strengthen that bullpen. Once again, we saw what this team did last year. They didn't really make moves in the postseason, right? They didn't make moves. They couldn't pitch against the Texas Rangers that ended up winning. So I like this move a lot. They get another good pitcher on here, and he's honestly been pretty good. I'd like to say, you see a 4 ERA, you're like, all right, that's not really the best, but looking at the ERA leaders this year, a lot of people are in the 2s, 3s. So it's honestly pretty tragic what's happening to ERAs nowadays. But as we continue on, a couple other small trades right here. This Nate Pearson trade was very interesting. So I read about this first. The 2 prospects they gave up, honestly not horrible for Nate Pearson, but another instance of the Cubs just kind of being lost. Jays once again sell on that side. Then we had this big trade. This was a really big trade between the whole day. The Yankees acquired Jazz Chisholm Jr. The Marlins got back 3 good prospects. I thought both Ramirez's were pretty good. From what I've heard from the Yankees, farm system or anything like that, those are some pretty good trades across the board. Second baseman, shortstop, never really heard of him. So yeah, never really heard of that guy. But yeah, the 2 Ramirez players definitely look solid for the Marlins to get back. So once again, Marlins going to add more to that farm system. So they're going to have a really good farm system. We'll see at the start of next year if they have the best farm system in the league, because they do that at the beginning of the season every year. But Jazz Chisholm, once again, this guy has been absolutely insane for the Yankees. He obviously hit 2 home runs last night in the game versus the Phillies, and then the first game he played against the Phillies, he hit another 4 home runs, or 2 home runs or something. So he's hit like 4 home runs in the last 3 games. Absolutely insane from him. Then once again, we had the Rockies making the move, which was pretty exciting. They got rid of one of their relief pitchers for 2 more relief pitchers. So pretty simple move right there. Once again, we have another pretty decent trade for the Red Sox. They pick up the catcher and Jansen, and the Blue Jays get back 3 prospects. I'm pretty sure Cutter Coffee is probably the best guy they got back. He looked like a really solid player when I initially looked at his stats and everything like that. So probably the best guy they got. And then Jansen has the chance to make history playing for 2 teams in the same game, which is pretty interesting stat that has never been happened in the MLB, because that game got suspended or something and that happened. We have some 2 interesting trades right here. The Phillies got Carlos Estevez, obviously to strengthen that bullpen. I really like this move for the Phillies. He's been pretty solid with the Angels so far, so not really something you see with the Angels in pitching, right? Because he's at a 2.38 ERA, pretty solid, 20 saves for the Angels, not bad at all. They gave up some good prospects right here. They're 23rd and they're 28th prospect in the organization. Jesse Winker goes to the Mets acquired Jesse Winker from the Nationals. Interesting trade. Had some mixed feelings from a couple Met fans I know, so we'll see how that one works out. Once again, another issue of the Rays blowing it up. James Adam, once again in the bullpen. Going to go to the Padres for 3 prospects. So the Rays are really bumping up these prospects. Like we said, this is the really team I thought that blew it up. And you're going to continue to see this as we continue forward. And, this is another trade from the Rays that I thought they blew it up too. So as you guys know, I'm a Cubs fan. So this was pretty sad for me to see. I really like Morel in the Cubs. Obviously, he hasn't been playing the best this season, which we know. But we get back easy Padres, who's definitely a solid player. I've rated him pretty highly as well. So definitely a solid player. Got him through 2027, it looks like here. And they give him 2 prospects. The Rays, once again, bumping that farm system. And Morel's looked really solid. He's already hit like 2 home runs in the first 2 games with the Rays. So really solid already that he's just going crazy on. So that's very exciting. They gave up their 29th prospect, and I think the other guy was in the league in Hunter Biggie. I thought he was really good. I really liked him. He's only pitched like I think 4 or 3 innings, but he's looked solid. I think for me. So kind of sucks to see him go, but it is what it is. This was an interesting one. The Rangers, I didn't really know what they were doing in this deadline, to be honest. Like, it was very weird, their moves they made, I thought. But they pick up Carlson Kelly from the Tigers, get 2 prospects back. Once again, we have some smaller trades right here with the with the Tigers and Dodgers right here. The Royals pick up Michael Relenzo from the Rangers for 1 prospect. So it's another weird trade. I know he's not having the best season at a 3.81 ERA, but he's pitched a lot of innings for the team. So once again, I don't really know what the Rangers are doing in that one. Good pickup for the Royals. I like that one a lot. Then we get to the Reds and picking up Ty France. Obviously, he was DFA'd. So some of the trades they classified, some guys were DFA'd and they picked him up for some cash. So I don't know. Some of these trades are weird. He hasn't had the best season this year, but he's been on the Mariners for a decent amount of time. So we'll see how he does on the Reds moving forward. Once again, the Red Sox picked up Quentin Pierce from the Pirates, and he was supposed to be really good when he came in the league. Hasn't really looked that way. He's got like a 5 ERA. So we'll see if the Red Sox can turn him around. Now this was the really big one. This was the 3-team trade we had. I think this is the biggest deal I think throughout the whole deadline. Me personally, I would say this one, just because I know this one took a lot of time and effort to get this one settled out. So the trade happens to be the Dodgers acquire infielder Tommy Edman from the Cardinals and right-handed pitcher Michael Kopech from the White Sox, right? And they also picked up another pitcher right here. The Cardinals acquired Freddie and Pham from the White Sox, and the White Sox acquired Michael Vargas from the Dodgers and like a ton of prospects. They picked up like 5 guys. So they picked up like 3 guys. So they got one actual pro guy in Vargas who plays shortstop for the Dodgers, and they also got 2 prospects. So big 3-team trade. I definitely think the Tommy Edman and Michael Kopech. I mean, I'm excited to see Kopech in LA. I'm gonna be honest. The Dodgers turn a lot of old talent, like old veteran talent, around somehow. So I'm very excited to see how Kopech's gonna do for that team. Tommy Edman, I think, has been a really solid player throughout his whole career with the Cardinals. So gonna be excited to see him in LA. And the Cardinals obviously pick up Eric Freddie, really good player. Tommy Pham hit that grand slam the other day for the Cardinals already. So definitely gonna be exciting. Eric Freddie, I'm glad he got traded. I really thought, he's on that 2-year contract, so he'll be free agent 2026. Coming back from Korea, I thought he was really solid this year. I really liked him that the White Sox were able to pick him up. I thought it was a smart move for them. Makes sense. The White Sox end up getting Vargas, which I do think is a good player and some good prospects. So definitely a solid trade, I think, for all 3 teams around, but I know this one was cooked up for a while. They definitely were debating about this for a while, and all these trades and who they wanted, what team, what guys they wanted. So definitely, I know this took a while for all three teams to actually finalize. Now moving on, we got a couple other good trades right here. So Mariners pick up Justin Turner from the Blue Jays right there. So this is an interesting trade. Justin Turner has been a pretty interesting player the last couple of seasons. 39, batting at 254, not horrible. Then we have this one, the Guardians pick up Lane Thomas. I thought this was a really good trade for the Nationals. I knew Lane Thomas was not going to stay on that team, just because they got Cruz coming up and they already have Wood there, and they might as well get some back for him because he's playing pretty solid for the Nationals. So definitely made sense for the Nationals for sure. The Astros picked up another pitcher, left-handed pitcher in Kikuchi. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce his name, from the Blue Jays for 3 prospects. So Astros once again trying to improve like always. Next trade was pretty interesting. The Dodgers picked up again Adelman Rosario during the trade deadline. They picked him up last year as well, which is pretty interesting, but I don't know. They did it. They acquired him in the 23 deadline and the 24 deadline. So I don't know. They definitely like Adelman Rosario if they keep picking him up. That's all I gotta say from the Rays. The Rays get a nice prospect back for sure. Once again, another Rockies move. You guys know my history with right-handed pitcher Jaden Bleeks on our franchise over there. So it's definitely interesting to see him get traded from the Rockies, but they pick up another left-handed pitcher. So kind of a 1-for-1 right there in the prospect category. Now, interesting trade for the Reds, I thought, here with Frankie Montas going to the Brewers, right? I mean, they pick up 2 prospects and some cash. I don't know what your guys' thoughts about trading in the division, but I personally don't like it. I know the Reds aren't going to win the division, but it definitely is interesting because I think they signed him to like a 2-3-year deal. So they're gonna have to kind of face him the next couple of seasons, which is very interesting. So I'm not really sure how I feel about that. Brewers definitely got better from that one, in my opinion. Now we get the whole gang back together in Atlanta with Jorge Soler being a Brave now. I'm pretty sure he signed a 2 to 3 year deal with the Giants. So now he's going to be with the Braves once again. And I think everyone reminds themselves of that 21 season that he had. But they did give up a pretty good pitcher right here. So, I really rate him highly. Maztek, I don't know how you say his last name, but he's been really good for the Braves, so they're going to get him back and another prospect. The Braves get Luke Jackson as well, so it's just kind of a 2-for-2 kind of deal with this one, but we'll see how Jorge Soler, goes. He's obviously, I think he's starting today when I'm recording this video, his first game with them, so going to be interesting to see how he does moving forward. But yeah, this was definitely a pretty interesting trade. They're trying to get the whole 21 gang back together. Once again, we got some more trades with Josh Walker going to the Pirates right here, and the Yankees picked up Mark Leiter from the Cubs for 2 prospects. So once again, another interesting trade. I know Ben Clowns has been a pretty good solid player in AAA, so I was pretty excited to get him on our team. Another one, the Red Sox acquired Lucas Sims from the Reds for 1 prospect. Interesting trade from the Orioles. Now this was a really good one for Miami, I thought. So the Orioles pick up left-handed pitcher Trevor Rogers from the Marlins. Now these 2 prospects I think played in the league, and we can see, I think it was their 6th. I think Orby is 6th in the Orioles organization or something like that. Yeah, number 5 prospect. So yeah, I mean, he's really solid, and I'm pretty sure Kyle Storrs was up there as well. So really good trade, I thought, for the Marlins, and once again, the Orioles going to make that pitcher better. Another small trade, the D-backs picked up Josh Bell for some cash because Christian Walker is currently injured. Kind of see the same thing with the Angels getting another right-handed pitcher right here. Now this trade I think is going to be very significant in the future. So the Astros acquired left-handed pitcher Cable Ferguson from the Yankees for a prospect. But the thing about this trade is there were international money that went to, I think, the Astros. Now, the thing about this trade, there was international money that got traded here. So that's very important when we get guys like Roki Sasaki in 2026 trying to come on over to the league, and a lot of other players. So it'll be very interesting when we move forward about this international money. It wasn't mentioned here, but it was definitely in all the tweets we did see. Now, once again, this was a pretty good trade, I thought, for the Oakland A's, finally making a move right here. They pick up Lucas Eger, I think, or Eager, I don't know how you pronounce his name, for 3 prospects. But I didn't know this, but he is signed, I think, for 2029, they said. So he's got the Royals got a lot of control with him, which is very interesting because I think he's still on that rookie contract for all those seasons. So, but they pick up the number 4 prospect and the number 18th prospect from the Royals. So, I mean, that's worth it if you're the A's. Number 7-1, the Royals pick up Paul DeJong from the White Sox, so another 1-for-1 trade. As we continue on, a lot of these are going to be some 1-for-1 trades. The Mariners pick up another right-handed pitcher. Paul Blackburn goes to the Mets from the A's, which was pretty interesting. He's been on the A's for a while, so it's definitely exciting to see him on a winning team, I thought. Once again, another interesting trade. Scheifele's been traded so many times in the trade deadline, so he's now going to be on the Rangers, it looks like, at the end of the season. This is when the Twins finally got involved. I think this is their only trade they made. You get another right-handed pitcher from the Blue Jays. The Mets, once again, another 1-for-1 trade. They bumper up that bullpen as well. Now, this was an interesting one. I didn't actually see this one my first time going around. The Pirates pick up Brian De La Cruz, obviously left fielder for the Marlins. And they get another 2 prospects right here. So they get the number 17th and 18th prospects from the Pirates organization. So, I mean, the Marlins just added so many prospects in this offseason, or in this trade deadline. I mean, it's actually insane how much better they got. So another 1-for-1 with the Mets and Marlins right there. Now, this was an interesting one. The Orioles got Eloy Jimenez from the White Sox for a left-handed pitcher. Now, interesting kind of what the thought process is here. You know, I know they had Hayes, so I imagine he'll slot right in where Hayes did, because I feel like you wouldn't get a guy, you know, if you're not going to play him, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like he's going to slot in where Hayes slotted in, so interesting trade for the Orioles. We'll see if it pays off, though. Then we got the Phillies with Tanner Blanks up in that bullpen as well. The Rays get Dylan Carson from the Cardinals for Sean Armstrong, so 1-for-1 trade right here. I definitely think the Cardinals won this one if I had to guess. I really like Armstrong as a starting pitcher, so going to be pretty interesting. This was an interesting one. The Orioles got Austin Slater, and he literally just got like traded twice, I'm pretty sure, in this deadline, which is pretty crazy for an infielder and a player to be named later in cash. The D-backs acquired Dylan Floro. This one was talked about a lot. Another 1-for-1 trade right here. Continue on, the Giants got Mark Canha from the Tigers, which was another 1-for-1 trade. The Dodgers picked up Kevin Kiermaier for left-handed pitcher Ryan Yarbrough, so 1-for-1 trade right here. Definitely think the Blue Jays won on this one. I like Yarbrough. Kevin Kiermaier, I'm pretty sure it's his last season anyway, so going to be interesting to see on that aspect. Orioles acquired left-handed pitcher Gregory Soto from the Phillies for 2 prospects. Soto's been a really good pitcher. I really liked him a lot when he was on Detroit. Now he's on the Orioles, so we'll see what happens down the stretch, if he's going to be any good. As we get to some of the end of these trades right here, you definitely have some more interesting ones. The Red Sox pick up another right-handed pitcher for 4 prospects, which was definitely a lot. I did not think he was worth that much, but you know, we have that over there. The Angels are going to pick up a lot of prospects. The Padres picked up another left-handed pitcher, so another 1-for-1 trade. The Yankees got another right-handed pitcher in Santos right here, and they give up a couple prospects to the Padres. Got another 1-for-1 kind of with this trade with Cash, you know, and another prospect. Got another 1-for-1 trade with the Reds Rangers right here. The Guardians picked up Alex Cobb from the Giants, which was pretty interesting for 2 prospects. Definitely think Cobb has been an interesting player for a couple of seasons. I know he's on the older side of things, but definitely interesting to see if he's gonna be good for Cleveland. Obviously, he was an all-star, so I'm expecting him to be good, you know what I'm saying? Now we gotta talk about this trade. So the Padres acquired left-handed pitcher Tanner Scott and right-handed pitcher Brian Hoeing from the Marlins. Now, the Marlins got a lot of good pieces back. I mean, look at this. They got the Padres number 2 prospect, number 4 prospect, number 5 prospect, and number 24 prospect. So if this doesn't tell you that the Padres are all in, I don't know what is, because you're not just trading your guy like that instantly. So this is what I mean by the Marlins definitely won the trade deadline. They're picking up so many players, so talented as well. So, you know, once again, another interesting trade for the Marlins. You know, definitely looking solid in this team moving forward. I know Cameron Clown's on this team. They're the worst, but they definitely made a splash this deadline. I'm telling you, Padres, they got to make the postseason now, getting Tanner Scott and Hoeing. They just have to. And the last trade we had from the deadline was the Dodgers getting Jack Flaherty, which I think was probably one of the best moves that they could have got, in my opinion. I know a lot of people had this move as literally number 1 in the trade deadline, which is kind of funny since it was the last one. But, you know, the Tigers get back 2 prospects right here. Definitely interesting. Those were pretty much all the trades leading up to this trade deadline. Everything that had possibly gone down. I definitely think last year's one was a little bit more crazier. I think in 23 and 22, I think we're a little bit better. But there were definitely a lot of moves. A lot of teams got a lot better throughout the league, and definitely a lot of new guys on a lot of different teams. So definitely gonna be an interesting, you know, season to end out with August coming up, and then September, then we get in that postseason. So yeah, the Dodgers should have a good starting pitching rotation now. You know, after last season, it was just disaster over there with, you know, Lance Lynn and Kershaw just not being good at all. So definitely, hopefully this will make them better and get past that first round of their postseason run. But yeah, definitely interesting. What do you guys think about all the trades that we have on the trade deadline? Because this was everything, right? Let me know the most impactful trades. What do you guys think was the best trades? Let me know in the comment section down below. These are kind of all my thoughts about this. So if I had to say the best trade for me personally that actually was improved to get better in this postseason, I would like to say that Jack Flaherty, because I really do think he's that good of a player. But right now, it looked like that Jazz trade was one of the better ones. He's been absolutely insane so far. So those are the 2 trades I would probably have up there. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. That being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, everyone.